Well, of course, we keep a very close eye on the situation in KZN, also a lot of international news. We need to keep a very close eye on. Russia is not happy. The Kremlin has sent a note of protest to all countries supplying Ukraine with weapons as the standoff between the two warring countries is continuing. Russia also deciding to label Kremlin critic, political analyst Ekaterina Schulmann as a foreign agent. Very, very angry words coming out of the Kremlin. eNCA correspondent Julia Chapman joining us from Moscow now. Hello to you, Julia. Good to have you on eNCA. And today, just give me the background. Why is the Kremlin so upset and sending notes of irritation?
Well, this was first reported by the Washington Post, which said that the Russian Foreign Ministry had issued this protest note not only to Washington but to all of the capitals that have been sending military aid to Ukraine. That was then confirmed by the Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, although she didn't give any details on the content of that note. What we understand from the Washington Post is that it said that it was calling on the US and its allies to stop its irresponsible militarization of Ukraine, as the Foreign Ministry put it, predicting unpredictable consequences to come. Certainly the West has been giving many weapons to Ukraine. They've been stepping up their military assistance in recent weeks. Just this week, the United States announced that it would be giving a further $800 million in military equipment to Kiev. Of course, we've been hearing from Ukrainian officials that they say that's still not enough, but from Moscow's perspective, it's far too much, and Moscow has been accusing the West of pumping Ukraine with weapons and stoking the tensions even further. But the US says it's not going to change its course because of this note of protest. It insists that its aid is necessary because of Russian aggression.
And as far as the relations between Russia and the Western governments at the moment, we know obviously not much communication between Ukraine and Russia. What is Moscow's stance on how the West is handling this? Are there at least communication lines open?
There are fewer than ever because we have been seeing an unprecedented expulsion of Russian diplomats from European capitals. Hundreds of Russian diplomats have been kicked out and sent home in recent weeks. Many European nations saying that this is all to do with the situation in Ukraine, directly linking those expulsions. We're also learning in the last few hours Russia has issued a travel ban on many British officials, including UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, the Foreign Secretary, the Defence Secretary, most of the British cabinet. So, of course, that is more of a symbolic move, but it is really limiting the channels of communication between Moscow and the West. That said, there are still several European leaders who are in regular phone contact with President Vladimir Putin. Emmanuel Macron, himself running for re-election at the moment, has been perhaps the most frequent caller to the Kremlin, still trying to urge Russian President Vladimir Putin to de-escalate the situation in Ukraine, but so far to no avail.
And so far as well, there seems to be mixed messages, conflicting reports regarding the Russian flagship that was allegedly sunk as a result of a Ukrainian missile that has caused some confusion. Do you have any idea what the latest is on that?
So under Russian law, I can only give you Moscow's version of events, but this is what it is. They say that on Friday there was a fire on board the Moskva, which led to ammunition being detonated on board. It says that the entire crew was evacuated. It later confirmed that the ship was being towed back to a port. It didn't specify which one, but ordinarily the Moskva has been docked at the Sevastopol port on Russian-annexed Crimea. But then later that day, Russia announced that the ship had in fact sunk. Now, there has been no indication as to what has happened to the crew. There were no pictures on Russian state media of them coming back onto dry land, victorious and safe. So there is still a huge amount of uncertainty, but that is what the Russian version of events is so far.
And as far as ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, is there any idea of what the authorities in Russia are planning to do as far as the offensives are concerned? There are reports in this side of the world that there's going to be an upscaling of offensives against Ukraine.
That is certainly the fear. What the Russian Ministry of Defense has been saying is that it's planning to refocus its efforts on eastern Ukraine, focusing on what it says is its main goal, which is liberating the Donbass region, those two breakaway parts of eastern Ukraine where there has been a war fought for the past 8 years already. But we have seen in the last couple of days that the Russian military has also been hitting targets well outside of eastern Ukraine, including Kiev overnight, where the Russian Ministry of Defense says it hit a depot, certainly a military target, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. Russian officials have been warning in the last couple of days that there could be wider strikes across the country in retaliation for what Moscow says has been cross-border violence, alleging that Ukraine has been carrying out attacks on Russian soil. There was one such incident on Friday which involved an attack on some residential buildings in the Bryansk region, which led 7 people to be hospitalized. That is the Russian version of events, and it is the only one that I can give you under Russian law.
And under Russian law as well, can you give me the stance on the response on accusations of war crimes committed by Russia? Has the government there responded to those accusations?
It certainly has. It has completely dismissed them, instead pointing the finger back at Kiev. Moscow has been repeating this justification for its actions in Ukraine, saying that it is trying to prevent a genocide from being carried out in the east of the country, something Ukrainian officials have vehemently denied. Of course, now we're hearing this accusation being leveled back at President Vladimir Putin himself, and that is something that Russian officials say simply does not reflect the picture on the ground.